Hello and welcome back to my channel, everyone. I hope you're doing fantastically well. This clip I'm about to show you and commentate on is going to make you laugh. This is a famous scientist, a very famous scientist that works for NASA, or works for NASA, and the commentator is Ben Shapiro. Now, Ben Shapiro brings up the whole transgenderism and how it's against science. Now, due to the fact of the way that science works nowadays, how can I put this? Unless you're actually saying what they want you to say, you're not going to get funding. And this is a perfect example of it.
We live in a free country, and with consenting adults and people free expression of who and what they are.
Man, on adult level, I agree with you. I think it does matter what you teach your children.
You see what I mean by Ben Shapiro? I mean, he should be calling out his bullshit right now, but yet he just sort of plays along, and that's what I don't understand. The fact is that he just turned around and said, well, everyone has a right to do whatever they want to do, and that is true. However, when you are more superior on your body mass than a woman, and you are able, because of the way you were born, because of what you are faster biologically as for a man to a woman, then surely you would have to segregate. But because of freedom now, and these people don't tend to give a shit about freedom 9 times out of 10, but because of freedom now, we must do what the transgenders say, and we must not have segregation in sports.
And so there's the matrix of what you are biologically, how you express yourself, who you choose as a sexual partner. If we actually live in a free country, as we tell ourselves, people's freedom to behave in any of those ways should not concern you at all.
You notice how he said, should not concern you at all. It's because he doesn't actually believe it himself. I'm telling you, the man does not believe it himself. He thinks that somehow, the freedom in America, you should be allowed to do whatever you like. Absolutely, you should be allowed to do whatever you like. But science comes into that. So how can a woman compete in a sport where she knows 9 times out of 10 she's going to fail against a man because of biology? So nothing that she can do physically will actually build her up enough to actually beat the men 9 times out of 10. But he says freedom.
Nor are they requiring that you behave that way. Okay? Well, this is for their own freedoms.
They're not requiring you to change in any way, change anything to do with your society, change sports in any way, of course, Mr. DeGrasse. They're not asking you to change that. So if they're not asking us to change that, and they're not asking for transgender men to be in lady sports, why are we having a discussion in the first place?
Because we live in a free country. Now, what is unresolved here is, what do you do with sports?
And then he goes on the question, but what do we do with sports? I mean, surely freedom goes for everything, but what can we do with sports? So he knows biologically men are stronger and faster than women. So what can we do? And he comes out with the best thing ever. Watch this.
It's unresolved. And I've followed that closely, and I don't see any meaningful solutions to come down off of that. We know that hormones manifest differently in different people, and just the whole thing with steroids. Steroids are hormones, right? And we rallied against steroids in professional sports.
Why did we do that? Why did we do that? Why did we rally against steroids? So really, if you think about it, the transgender men are on steroids and the women are not on steroids. But it's okay to go against steroids. But it's okay for a transgender man who is going to be more powerful, more faster than a biological woman, to go with women's sports.
Because it gives you an undue advantage. So, and I've tried to think of what the future of sports.
Now you got to love this. This is just gonna. Remember, this guy is very intelligent. He knows his shit, and the stuff that he says right now, even he has to laugh at it. Watch.
Would be in the world of a gender spectrum. And it may be, you don't specify whether it's a male or female sport. You just take measurements of what your hormonal balances are. And so you compete based on your hormonal.
See what I mean? He's actually laughing at what he's saying. And the only reason I can think of him doing this is because he's been told that he can't go against the liberal thinking of transgenderism, or he's not going to get funds in reference to his scientific work, that kind of thing. Because otherwise, why would an intelligent man like this act so stupid?
This is thought I had. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to land.
The WNBA won't be in business for very long if that's the case.
It would just be you'd have to find some way to compete people against each other if you still care that sports is an interesting activity.
I guess
if you still care that sports is an interesting activity. It keeps a lot of people healthy, Mr. Tyson. It keeps a hell of a lot of people healthy. Keeps people sane. But we're just going to forget about all that, you know. We're just going to be fat people like me, right? Where I don't do much exercise. That's really good. That means most of the population are going to die young, just like me.
I guess the area where it does come up in a non-sports area.
Yeah, tell me, 'cause I don't know.
So it would be, you talk in your book about the education of children and teaching children about science. And right now, children are being taught about the quote-unquote gender spectrum, which is not scientifically based. That is a theory-based idea.
No, wait, hold on.
Wait. Hold on. That's not what I said. It's not what I said. So watch how he goes tongue-tied down. Watch.
People express themselves on a spectrum. So you...
Feelings. Literal feelings. He's talking about feelings. This is a scientist, a proper, legit scientist, a guy that worked for fucking NASA, is now talking about feelings.
Learn that.
That's
I don't
that's a social point, not a scientific point.
It's
Now you can see where he's really trying now. He's really trying to not make himself look stupid, but also follow the narrative. You gotta follow the narrative. You can't go against transgenderism. You can't say it's not against biology. You can't say that.
Meaning we express ourselves
hold on.
based in different languages. Is that something you teach in science class, or is that something that you teach when you're teaching a language?
So whether the fact that people...
You noticed? When people really want to think about something, or they're coming out with bullshit, they go, when you're thinking about that situation, it's like Diane Abbott in the House of Lords. Everything is staggered because she has to think about things very carefully before she says it. This is the same thing. He has to think about everything he says because he knows it's rubbish. He's not following science.
People want to express themselves on a spectrum, on a gender spectrum, whether that fact is something you want to put in a sociology class or in a science class.
But Ben Shapiro is talking about science and the fact that teachers are going against science and bringing out wrong information in reference to heterosexual, bisexual, transgender, all these kind of things. But he's now going, well, feelings, really? And you don't need to talk about science, you just need to talk about feelings, because that's the most important thing. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Maybe that remains to be determined. But it is a real fact about real society.
Well, of course, nobody's denying that people identify how they want to identify.
So
the question is, what is the relationship of that to biology? Meaning that the argument is made that trans women are women.
Now, this is the perfect question. Now, as a scientist, you would just say, men are men, women are women. Transgenderism is when a person thinks they're in the wrong body. That's it. That's all you really need to say. And to be honest, I haven't got this far into the video, so let's see what he says.
For example, and what that seems to mean is that trans women are identical to women. Now, if people want to say trans women are not biological women, obviously that is the case. But people don't seem to want to say that, although that is obviously scientifically true. Trans women are not biological women. Biological women are biological women.
But we,
see what I mean? All he has to say is absolutely, of course, the trans women are not biological women. It's a scientific fact. It's biology. That's what he has to say. But watch how he goes on now.
Where are you going with this? What
He just asked you the question. In schools, they're teaching how biology doesn't matter, and that somehow trans women are not women. He's just asked you that they're teaching the wrong thing, and they should be teaching biology. But you, because you are trying to twist it around, because you're unable to tell the truth right now, you're trying to make it a different thing, about feelings maybe. Let's go.
what are you trying to accomplish by asking yourself, is it science or is it not science?
Well, fact.